Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Five-1 Speedway show. Hopefully you liked the last episode, which was the part two in the Gary Havelock World Championship special we done. He said a lot of cool things about his career and everything, but this is the first one of 2021. We'll get used to saying that now, and everything. So I'm happy to have on this guest tonight. He's a guy who has got a lot of talent and everything, but he's been hit by so many injuries over his career and everything. Ridden for a host of clubs, mainly Kings Lynn at National League and also at top league level as well. But so please welcome to the show, Lewi Kerr.
Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. No worries. Not bad little intro there for you.
No, that'll do, won't it?
Yeah, not too bad. But I mean, you're one of the fortunate ones this year, or now last year, to have a few meetings in England and everything. So how did that sort of go for you this year?
Well, the plan was to do whatever was available. I wanted to race, so including the Ben Fund, I managed to do every professional meeting that was going. So yeah, I had 3 at Bellevue in the Ben Fund, and the British final wasn't great with the conditions, but the other 3 went really well. So yeah, really pleased with it was only 4 meetings, but how they went.
Yeah, I mean, you just get out and get some track time. I mean, I know you had practice before we all went down to the first lockdown with Eastbourne and Kings Lynn. So, I mean, it must have been nice to get actually some proper racing underneath your belt this year.
Yeah, it was, and I went to their meetings a lot more relaxed. There wasn't any pressure on, and it seemed to bring the best out of me. So when we get some racing in this season coming, hopefully take that sort of mindset into that, and yeah, hopefully do better.
Yeah, I mean, you've managed to get some sort of like building blocks for this coming season, like I said, with those 4 meetings you had, and everything. Did you ever get contacted to go and ride in Europe at all, or was that just a personal choice to stay over here then?
No, not this year. One Polish club came to me, but yeah, I wasn't where it was, and I wasn't that interested, to be honest. I think I signed a contract for 2018.
Hmm.
I went over there once, and then I broke both my legs, and it put paid to that. And then sort of 19 was a sort of comeback year after those injuries, really. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. At the minute that, and I'm happy just to double up in the UK and wait for if something comes to me, really.
Yeah, that's a good idea to have, really, because I'm sure there'll be some club on the continent, whether it be Poland, Sweden, Germany, will want to be knocking on your door because you're a good enough rider, mate, to go out there and mix it with those boys.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think I think, like I said, the meetings are done this year. Took a lot of confidence from, especially around places like Bellevue. I've struggled in the past, so I feel a lot more confident on those sort of tracks now. And the plan is to get abroad and do some open meetings this season coming, and get myself about there and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure you will do. I mean, last year you had a pretty much an injury-free season and your comeback season. So in 2019, so that was good, obviously. And then let's say build on that and build on that sort of thing. But let's go back to the start of your career. Obviously, probably most people probably know that you didn't start off riding bikes to do with speedway. You were a motocrosser. So how did you get on in your motocross career before you came over to speedway?
Yeah, I was a good motocrosser. Through the sort of the Big Wheel 85 days, and I was sort of 15, 16, I done well, and then went 125, and then I went to America for a year,
Mhm.
broke my arm out there, came back, um, and I was doing the British under 21s, and um, ripped all my ligaments in my ankle to bits. And then I sort of come back again, and I'd do it again. I just kept doing my ankle. And that was the same sort of time I had to go on a speedway bike.
Mm.
And, it got to a point in the motocross where we couldn't put any more money into it to get to where we needed to be, really. Got on a speedway bike, Connor Mountain's dad's actually, and got hooked straight away, and sold motocross bike, and bought an old speedway bike, and yeah, and that from there, really.
Yeah, I mean that's cool to hear that with your motocross, you managed to go to America and sort of spend a year out there. You know, that's obviously a complete different lifestyle and everything. So, how far did you get over there then before you had to come back because you broke your arm?
So I went over for nearly 10 months, and I had to go to college to get a visa out there. So I was at college a couple of times a week, and then I was pretty much riding every day. Other than that, I think it was to mainly obviously get better on as a motocross rider, but I wanted to learn, about the bikes and just general living on, being independent. Before I went, my mum and dad done absolutely everything for me, so it was pretty useless. So I learned a lot in, life skills really, as well as my riding. And I came back a better rider, but I was just plagued with injury towards the end of motocross as well. So, but yeah, and then we got on the speedway bike.
Unfortunately, that word injury is very much associated with you, and seems like in both
Yeah,
careers, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, Andy Melton managed to help you, along with Connor, to get on a speedway bike. I remember seeing you at Southern Track Days and things like
yeah,
that, riding with you and against you and that sort of thing. You know, I mean, those early days, you must have been, you loving it, because obviously it's a complete different way to ride a bike and everything else.
yeah. I couldn't get enough of it, to be honest. And yeah, like I said, got my first bike, and it was actually so yeah, I blew that engine up on my first bike, and then Pete Seaton, actually, he he was so good to me in my early days. He saw a bit of potential in me, and he just kept, yeah, here's another bike, try that out. And I'd sort of blow that engine up, give it him back, and he'd go, here's another one. And yeah, he really got me going, actually, which was great. And then once I got sort of half decent, I think 2 or 3 months in, had, well, one of my sponsors who's still with me now bought me a brand new bike, and sort of went from there, really.
Mm. Yeah, that's good to hear that you had so much help in those early days. I mean, again, from my point of view, it's invariable. You've got to have that sort of support in those early days to keep yourself
Yeah,
going, keep those confidence going. Because obviously, I mean, your first club was with Kings Lynn, the Young Stars in 2010.
yeah,
Was it towards the sort of the end of that season that you sort of made your debut, wasn't it? Because you were number 8 for most of this, well, some of that season, should we say?
yeah, yeah. I think it was towards the end of summer.
Mm,
I remember getting 1 point at home against the Bournemouth National League team. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was my debut. Um, yeah, it sort of escalated really quickly. Really, I went from sort of barely sliding the bike, and then being signed by Kings Lynn.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think I was there the first night. I think you got a race win. I'm pretty sure I did a second half at Kings Lynn, and you were there. And I remember seeing you in the team, thinking, "Oh bloody hell, he's made it quick, hasn't he?" Into the team. I don't remember who it was against, but I'm pretty sure I was there for it was like the second or third meet. I think it was, and you managed to win heat 2 by
Yeah,
by a mile, sort of thing in the end. And you think, bloody
yeah,
hell, he's going to go places once he sorts himself out a bit. Because I think I remember sometimes you came in a bit tight some of the corners and
yeah. I done
clipped the
plenty of
air fence a few
crashes.
times. But I mean, you had a good few seasons with the Young Stars, obviously, until 2012 when you started going up to the Premier League and things like that. So, what are your sort of highs, shall we say, that you remember most from riding with the Young Stars?
Um, I think my last season was 13 with the Young Stars, and we got to the playoff final against Dudley. Um, I think that year was pretty good. Robert Lambert came into the team.
Yeah,
We had Stevie Worrell towards the end, so we did have a really good team. Um, and I was captain, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I was having such a good year in the old Premier League,
mm,
and I was taking the form into the National League, and yeah, I think it was riding with people like Robert and that back then. It was fun.
mm. Yeah. Again, it's like always, like I've said in these other shows that running against the faster people, no matter what level it's at, it's going to spur you on. And of course, Robert hit the ground running. When he came and signed for Kings Lynn and everything, but in your own career, I say 2012, you had a busy season, guesting for some clubs, Plymouth and Somerset mainly, as well as doing the odd bit, I think, with Kingsley in the top league. So you managed to get yourself about in 2012 a bit.
Yeah, I did a bit towards the end. I had a few guest bookings, and then nothing really. I didn't do any good, to be honest. And then, well, I do remember winning one heat at Kings Lynn, But yeah, I didn't really do any good. And then I'd done the Christmas Cracker at Somerset. It was actually run in February. I had a great meeting, and Andy Tully put a word in for me at Newcastle, and then they rang me that week, and I got signed up, luckily.
Yeah, that's good because I think when I was doing my notes and everything, I was reading that you were originally going to go to Leicester, I think in 2013.
Yeah,
At reserve with Lewis Blackburn, I think it was, or
yeah,
something
it was
like
a
that.
joint thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And then it's all of a sudden, last minute, they dropped you, and then all of a sudden you went to Newcastle at reserve, where you were guaranteed a full season at Premier League level.
Yeah, it worked out absolutely perfect. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to get a better year than that. I had no injuries. It was just a dream year. I think I had a 7-point average in my first professional year. I rarely got under double figures. It was just one of them seasons. It just, nothing could go wrong, really.
Yeah, one of those good years that you had,
Yeah, no injuries.
Yeah, exactly. But you spent a good time at Newcastle, 2013, 2015. So how did you manage to adapt to Newcastle? Because obviously it's one of those sort of narrow, long, straight, tight corner type tracks.
Yeah, I don't know really. I think my debut there, I struggled, and then I remember going to Workington the following Saturday, and Richie Worrell was helping me out with some clutch plates, and anyway, we put the same as what he had in, and instantly I was gating. I don't think I got 6 or 7 points at Workington, and then my second meeting for Newcastle, second or third, I can't remember, but I scored a 12-point max, and it was like I was National League, and I had that last year, and then straight away I had like a 12-point max, just from these change of clutch plates, and I was gating, and then just got better and better around Newcastle, and I love the place. Like even as a away rider now, I think I'm probably better as an away rider now. I just love it.
Yeah, go up there once or twice a year, put your best form there forward, and the way you went, sort of thing. But
yeah,
it's
that's right.
It's very interesting to hear, though, because I like hearing all these little insights. Because obviously, being an ex-rider and everything, you like to hear all these insights. And okay, these clutch plates were slightly different. So to tell the average public, what was the difference then that you can remember? Then was your clutch just like not banging then, or is it just slipping, or what was it doing?
It was just a different set of clutch plates, and the order that I was putting them in. It just changed. I was so still on it. I'd only been riding a couple of years, and I was sort of just putting the bike together, going out and riding, and just something simple like that just changed my whole season. And it's only till recent, actually, over the winter, I've changed to a different clutch setup now, but I've stuck with that for years now.
Yeah, if it works, don't change it. If it works.
Right. Yeah.
But obviously during your time at Newcastle, you had that unfortunate crash at Peterborough in the fours. I did a bit of looking into that. I watched the videos back and everything, because it's been a while since I've read about it and everything. And it was an absolute horror smash to have. I did read that you don't remember much about it.
No.
I guess that still hasn't changed in
No.
that time. But so I guess the question is sort of thing, how did it affect you for like the following season then, or like a month or two after the crash, and how were you as a person then after that?
Well, first, I came out of hospital only 10 days after, and in hospital I thought I was okay. I got outside, and I just did never come out of hospital. It's terrible. I can't really explain it. I mean, where I was living, I'd lived there 3 years, and we ended up moving out of that bungalow, going back to my parents, because I couldn't remember living there, and I'd lived there 3 years, and it was just really, really freaky. So the next few months were tough. I was getting headaches every 4 hours, on the dot, like proper migraines, and obviously couldn't drive. I couldn't use my phone for a while because I just couldn't really see properly, and so that was a tough time. And then started training maybe 3 months after. Got myself fit, and in my head I was absolutely fine. I was fit, but I think, looking at it now, I think it was definitely, obviously, a proper comeback year. I just needed to get a year injury-free under my belt. And then obviously I went to Ipswich, and had the odd good meeting, but I was on some Jawas at the time, and I don't think that helped with confidence and loads of other issues, and ended up getting dropped by them, and then went to Scunthorpe and ended up having a great second half of the season. So yeah, like I said, at the end we turned it around and it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you have a head injury of any sort, concussion to the extreme that you had, obviously, which was a bleed in the brain, which is very unfortunate. I mean, luckily, obviously, good thing is that you're still here, and you're able to ride, more than anything, which is good. But so yeah, like you said, you went to Ipswich, you had sort of a bum first half of the season, but then again, that was probably you slowly getting yourself back into the racing, maybe into just general life sort of thing mainly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was just that. It was just slowly getting back in. I didn't realise how long it would probably take to get back into it. But few race wins and it sorts it out really.
Yeah, it's always nice when you're winning, isn't it? So,
It
but yeah, you went to Scunthorpe for the second half of the season, and also you did a bit with Lakeside as well in 2016.
Yeah.
So I mean, all in all, it must have been sort of like a good year, really, for yourself personally, just to get back on the bike and do as many laps and as many meetings as you possibly could.
Yeah, that was the main thing. Like I said, like no injuries and got a full year in, and we made the playoffs with Lakeside, and I think I got a couple of home maximums. So it wasn't the end of the world. I really enjoyed the time at Lakeside. It was a good club, and I got the hang of the track in the end. So
Yeah, the tricky tight turns of
yeah,
arena. But also looking back at 2015, I found this out because I was doing when I was doing my research. I did a lot of the research into you, mate. So you did the Cardiff test track meeting behind closed
yes,
doors, and I mean that must have been an experience for yourself just to ride at Cardiff. Okay, no fans were there, but it's a bit like nowadays, really.
a
No
bit like
fans.
now. Yeah.
But it must have been an experience for yourself just to ride at Cardiff.
Oh, it was incredible. Being in the pits and yeah, it was great. Ended up having a great meeting. I think joint first with two of us or maybe three of us.
I
But
want the results.
yeah, yeah. I don't think they ever published the results. It was
No.
proper like behind closed doors thing. So I ended up getting joint winner of that, and yeah, that was a brilliant day. It's really weird Cardiff because when I was walking it, the track's like bouncy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's really strange. I was thinking, God, this is going to be grippy, but I think that's just how it is. That's what everyone else was saying. It's like this every year. And it rides so small. You didn't think it does, but it's quite a small track. But it was good fun.
Yeah, and of course that must give you the aim for one day, hopefully, when you are British champion, to go and ride at Cardiff. That must be a
Yeah,
big incentive.
that is the incentive, isn't it? It's like you just got to have one good meeting and you're at Cardiff. So it's always the dream of mine, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure you get it, mate. I'm sure you get it. But also around that time, was you part of was it Rob Painter had a little race team around
Yeah,
and things like that?
Revolution. Yeah,
That's it. I can't remember what it was called, but what was that like then to be part of Revolution? 'Cause I think it was yourself, Danny King, and a few others, wasn't there? If I remember right on my head.
yeah. The first year, the year of my accident in 15, it was me and Danny King, and it was great. On really good equipment, and then I had my head injury, so um, that put hold to that year. But Rob and Vicky were great to me, to be honest. And then in 16 was back with Revolution, but they got a sponsorship deal, I think, with Jawa. So and didn't work out. So but yeah, Rob and Vicky now on the GB scene, so doing a great job, and yeah, it all worked out for the best, I think.
Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, what did sort of Revolution bring to your racing then? Was it a lot more sort of pressure off your mind and things like that with bike prep and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was a lot to do with that. All I had to focus on was training and doing my goggles, and that's all I'd done. Rob would prep the bike and drive it there, and I'd sort of drive there and race and drive home, and that's so I could maintain my training plans and just had one focus, and that was racing. So it did take the pressure off. When when things didn't go right, because I'm not in the workshop and I'm quite anal with things. You do question things, don't you? But
Yeah.
it was a great time.
I mean, if you have faith in your mechanic and you know that obviously Rob's an ex-rider, so he knows what he's doing. So, you've got to have a little bit of, faith in him that way.
Yeah, that's right. And Rob's very particular, and that's what I liked. So and the bike's always immaculate, and the gear was always good. Like I said, that second year with the Jawas and things, it just didn't work out, and I needed to do what was best for my career, really.
Oh, so you only spent sort of like 2 years with them then, and then you moved on to sort of back to your own sort of stuff then?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I actually didn't have any equipment at the time, because it'd been 2 years, and I sort of sold a lot of it on. So Scunthorpe managed to supply me with some gear. That was Andreas Liaja or something. His name is Andreas something.
Yeah.
He was a Dane who'd done a couple of meetings, and he bought his gear over here anyway. I think Rob sacked him and he went home, and then I ended up buying. So basically Rob gave me the equipment and I slowly paid him back through the rest of the season, and got me back on my feet, really.
Oh, well, there you go. Again, it's who you know in the sport, and of course,
Yeah.
Rob's a great promoter. He'll look after all his riders and everything, and
Yeah, he does.
that shows it right there, to be honest. But no,
Yeah, it does.
obviously, Rob and Vicky now doing well with Team GB. Are you currently involved with the Team GB setup then, with training, nutrition, and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. We've been doing over this year, Zoom, like fitness classes and stuff all together, and meetings and stuff. And we've got a WhatsApp group and things like that, which has been good. And so we'll see what this season brings.
Yeah, because towards the end of 2019, were you part of the test series? There was a King's
Yeah,
Lynn
King's
test
Lynn.
match. Yeah.
That was.
Imagine that was good for yourself. A good bit of confidence to get selected in the Team GB squad.
Yeah, it was great. It was a brilliant experience. I think it rained all night. The track was slick and greasy, and I'm normally used to King's Lynn being grippy, and it was night and day what I was used to. And I got one race win, but I think the rest were third, so it wasn't amazing, but enjoyed it.
Still nice to wear the Union Jack on your chest though, and say that you did it. Things like that.
That's right. Yeah, definitely, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, I had on the show previous, I had Ollie Allen on here and things like that, and he was saying that he was planning for 2020 to be a year where he had like a mini test series of some description. So I'm sure yourself would have been in the frame for that, and things like that, and future tests probably this year.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I
think they need to bring them back. They're really enjoyable.
Yeah, very much so, very much. Especially if you get one down at Eastbourne, home track advantage again.
Oh, I'd love
that. Away you go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, go back to your club career and things like that. You had another season, 2017, with Scunthorpe, and also you did a bit doubling up with Paul as well. So I can imagine that was quite a good experience to ride with such a great team in the forms of Paul, really.
Yeah, so it was a bit wasn't the best circumstances. Carl Newman had a crash really early on. I think it was first meeting maybe. So they signed me for 30 days and done really well. I was at number 3 and done a great job. I actually thought they'd probably keep me on, but they decided to be loyal to Kyle and bring Kyle back. And then luckily Somerset signed me straight away for the rest of the season. So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, and of course it's a favourite track of yours, Somerset, because you've done well there in the past and everything. And obviously having the experience from the past, okay, be it in the next level up, but still, it's still the same thing there. But I can imagine you took your form from riding at Poole to Somerset and you hit the ground running again.
Yeah, I did. I did have a good season. It was another injury-free season, so that was good. And you can't really not like Somerset, really. It's the one thing I didn't enjoy was the track was different every week. I think they had troubles with the track guy and things like that. But I really enjoyed it. Not the drive, but
it's a long old drive for you where you are.
It is. It's 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, geez, man, that's a
on
long
a Friday.
Way. Yeah, but I'm sure the pay was good from Debbie and everyone.
Never good enough.
No, no, no. But I suppose, as much as it's a pain in the arse with track conditions and everything, but it kept you on your toes. It must have done for the whole season, sort of thing. Thinking, okay, you've got one setup, one sort of surface, and then all of a sudden next week it's slightly different, and vice versa. So in that respect, I suppose it was a slight positive.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you on your toes. It was good. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a funny season, really, because obviously I'd signed for Coventry, and then 3 weeks before the season started, obviously Coventry folded. Then went to Poole for a month, and then, like I say, Somerset. So it was, I was just grateful to get doubling up again, really.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, and it helps your championship sort of with Scunthorpe and things like that. Obviously, you must have had a good season with them, then really, because obviously bouncing off your experience in the Premiership and things like that.
Yeah, I did. I had such a good end to 16 with Scunthorpe. I wanted to go there again, and ended up number 1 for Scunthorpe that year. Had a brilliant year. Really enjoyed my time with Scunthorpe, actually. Like I said, Rob's a good guy, so he looks after his riders.
Yeah, it's just a shame sometimes you just don't quite get the right mix at Scunthorpe, I think, because obviously, you get yourself like a good number one, and all of a sudden the boys underneath you don't really sort of do enough and things like that. It's a bit frustrating, but it's Speedway.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but like you said, I mean, that sometimes happens in a lot of. It was like Eastbourne this year. It's like, no disrespect to anyone, but sort of the top. Well, me, Rich, and Ed were doing such a good job, but we didn't at reserve. We never really had that, and we did it with Tom, and then obviously Tom got injured. But I look back and think the amount of meetings we'd have won if we'd have had one decent reserve last year. But yeah, that's the way it goes.
Again, it's numbers, isn't it? It's just the numbers don't add up and things like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, then moving on to 2018, you were with Kings Lynn again, doubling up with Glasgow. So again, more travelling up north this time,
Yeah.
But how was your time at Glasgow and Kings Lynn during that year? I know you got injured, but before you got injured, how was your season then?
Yeah, it was going brilliant. It was probably my best season up till then. I think that's why I was so gutted. It was. I didn't even mind travelling to Glasgow because obviously it was at Lynn, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, Glasgow was, the club was fantastic, and I think it's still probably my favourite track, Glasgow. I do enjoy it. And Lynn was going well. I'd just gone up in the main body, and I think the week before only dropped 1 point, and I was full of confidence. And then, like I said, it wasn't even my fault, but season-ending injury, and yeah, and that was that.
Yeah, and again, the Kings Lynn mean I was there again. I saw the crash
Really?
happen again. Yeah, that long night at Kings Lynn, we only did about 5 or 6 races, and you think, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, because it was such. If I remember rightly, it was like a first corner sort of thing. You got a nudge and you just slipped off, and I saw you go down. I thought, oh, he's gonna get up in a minute. He's fine. Next thing I know,
No,
I don't know if the air fence or whatever it was, and you're there.
screaming.
Yeah, I think because me and Haley were there, and we were standing sort of like slap bang in the middle of turn 1 where you fell, and we could
You
hear
could
you.
hear.
Yeah, I thought he's in a bit of pain down there. but
Yeah.
obviously the injuries were really big, to be honest, for what the crash was really. Just sort of explain what the injuries were that you had.
So I broke pretty much every bone in my left foot. I met like 4 or 5 metatarsals, whatever it is, and then had a long spiral fracture on the right tibia, which was the nasty one because although it was so clean, they didn't want to touch it. It was such a clean spiral break. They didn't operate. I wish they had have. I think it'd have been less. I wouldn't have had to have had a cast. I'd have been on my feet quicker. But I don't have any problems now. So yeah, very fortunate. I think it was just one of them things. It was so grippy that season, and that night especially. And Niels was struggling with the grip that year. I think he had a bad shoulder and he couldn't really hold on properly. And he went into the first turn and he just couldn't turn. And I was off gate 4 and he just rode into me. And I just remember getting off the back of the bike, but like sliding into the air fence, like feet first. And yeah, I knew that was that done really.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes even with Kingston's air fence, it's not really forgiving like a normal sort of air
No.
fence, really, because isn't it still that sort of polystyrene type sort of fence they've got there? Yeah,
it's good in some ways. You can't go under the air fence, so you can't follow the bike in as such. But it is a lot harder than a normal air fence.
Yeah, I think the idea was to try and keep it to the ground more than anything. But
Yeah.
obviously, but like you say though, it's like hitting the fence again. Okay, it might be a bit
Mm.
softer, but when you go in sort of feet first into a normal air fence, you're going to sort of like get away with it.
Yeah,
9 times
that's
out of
right.
10, but it's just unfortunate that you went in at the wrong angle and you
Yeah,
done both legs. When I
that's right.
remember reading about it in the Speedway Star, thinking, Jesus Christ, he's unlucky there.
I
Do
know.
both legs. You think, okay, maybe done one leg or an ankle or a foot or something, but to do sort of like a leg one, the leg one side and the foot the other side, you think, Jesus Christ, this guy's got
Yeah.
no chance, has he?
No, it was hard work in a wheelchair for a little bit. It
Yeah,
weren't easy, but
So how long were you actually in the wheelchair for then?
maybe a month, possibly. Yeah, and it just doesn't help when you break it, does it? I mean, loads of people have broke their legs, but it's just that when you put it down, that throbbing when the blood rushes to it, it's just awful.
Yeah.
So I had to have it raised for quite a bit. Couldn't be on my feet too long.
Yeah, I'm sure you were good for babysitting duties. Whilst Jess went out had a good time and things like that.
Yeah, that was another nightmare because obviously we had Cooper and he was only like say 2.5. Jessie was pregnant at the time, so she was looking after me, looking after Cooper and pregnant. So
yeah, already
it weren't easy.
Look after 2 kids already, sort of thing.
Yeah,
This third one came
exactly. Yeah.
No, but I must admit, Jess is really great, and obviously to have that sort of support at home with her and the kids and things like that. Are we going to see sort of Cooper get on a bike one day then and turn left?
Well, he has got a bike. Steve-O, my mechanic, sort of lent me his old boy's PW50. I've just got to get it up and running. It's just a few little tweaks I've got to sort to it, but I don't fancy him actually doing Speedway. I can't, even if he falls over, I'm pretty bad. So let alone if he got properly injured.
Oh well, that's wait till you actually stop riding to worry about that sort of thing.
Yeah, see what
but,
happens.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, after that sort of disastrous 2018, when everything was going right for you, you managed to come back in 2019. You signed for Eastbourne. Myself, when I saw that, I thought that's a bloody good signing for Eastbourne. Solid third or second heat leader. Behind sort of Ed and Richard. And that sort of thing. So how did that sort of move come about then? Was it something out of the blue then, or was it something that you wanted to do?
No, I think as soon as I knew Eastbourne were planning on going up, I think I messaged John Cook instantly, and it didn't take long at all to do a deal. I think that was the most fun I've had in a championship team in my career. It was brilliant. The track, just loved it. Ian Jordan, what he does for everybody, and real great season. I wish we could have won something, but yeah, always next season.
Oh yeah, very much so. And of course, like I said to someone else on one of these shows, I mean, I've had Tom and Jason Edwards on the show previous, or that sort of thing, and they obviously, apart from Tom injuring himself, which was very, very unlucky, Jason did a good job down at reserve in his first sort of real attack at the championship, and things like that. But they echo those sort of things that you just said. It's a great atmosphere. Ian Jordan does a great job, as well as everyone else at Eastbourne, because I know obviously a lot of people down at Eastbourne who run the show. So not to mention him, and names my old man, running around in the pits and all that sort of thing. But no, I mean, when you obviously rode for Eastbourne in 2019, it was a very enjoyable season. Like you said, should have probably won something, considering that we're an all British team and the only all British team in both of the top leagues. We really should have won something. But didn't you have a crash with Kevin Doolan last year?
Yeah, massive one. Yeah, yeah, that was pretty scary. That I remember where we, when the speeder bike hooks up, it's not nice, is it?
No.
And we both couldn't get off, and I've gone through the fence and cartwheeled over it, and then I've hit my arm on one of them metal poles. So I think there's something to do with the stock car track, maybe, are they?
Yeah.
I don't know actually.
Yeah.
And then I've got up and I'm on the stock car track, and it was I sort of thought I'd completely ripped my shoulder off.
Oh, right.
I was in the ambulance, and I was thinking that's another season done. And it was the weirdest thing. I don't know. I got to hospital, got checked over and sitting there for ages. And I ended up discharging myself because I started to move it. I think I had a week off and then I was back on it, but I've never had a sort of an injury where I thought my season was done, and then like within a couple of hours I was back to normal. It was really strange.
Yeah, but then again, that was obviously again a good thing for yourself, not to have to worry about sitting on the sidelines or anything, more than anything. But I mean, I unfortunately I wasn't there for that meeting. That's the one meeting I missed all season, was that meeting, and to hear that Lewi had a crash, oh great, here we go again, sort of thing.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, you came back strong and obviously had a good season, mainly at number 4 all season as well. So
Yeah.
no real pressure on your shoulders either.
No, it was quite nice, really. I think me, Ed, and Rich all sort of, I just sat behind them and the averages most of the year. It was really close. So I was either at 3 or 4. I think at the start of the season I was paired with Alfie at 3, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 actually. Anyway, yeah. So I was sort of 4 most of the year, which is a nice number. And yeah, it was nice to have sort of Rich and Ed to look at to try and sort of help me really, push on. And like I said, it was just like I said, brilliant club. I loved it. I loved the fans. I think I like how passionate and I like how sort of volatile it can get down there. I think it's brilliant. That Glasgow meeting, I'll never forget that. I think that was one of the best meetings I've had. I think Speedway needs that. I think it was brilliant.
What Glasgow meeting was that then? I don't remember that one. Yeah, that was a funny old night. But I mean, even as far as me being machine examiner down there, and the atmosphere was weird anyway from that side. So God knows what it was like from your side of the fence, riding in that sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But we pretty much had the whole stadium on your side, and then everyone hated Glasgow that night. I mean, like you say, that's what Speedway needs. You need the panto villains back in the sport. But yeah, I mean, obviously looking ahead now to 2021. We'll touch on 2020 again in a minute, but 2021 back with Eastbourne. I'm assuming you're back at Kings Lynn, all being well, touch wood and all that sort of thing. But
yeah, all being well. I mean, unless some serious sort of changes happen, I'd like to think I'm just staying at the same clubs. We'll probably find out this week, I'm sure, if anything happens.
Yeah, because I think the AGM's on the 7th or something like that. Something like that. But
yeah,
hopefully all these rumours and these rule changes that they want to do are not going to happen. And everything stays the same for this year, sort of thing. As it should have done last year.
Yeah, I think I'd like to think they do. I mean, I know it's difficult with the Polish ruling and now being out of the EU. It's makes things difficult with visas for foreign riders and things like that. But we'll see what happens.
Well, we'll never know. You could get some. If you do get sort of like moved out of Kings Lynn or somewhere, something stupid like that, maybe there'll be another club who will snap you up to replace a foreign rider who they can't bring, because, like you say, because of the EU and that sort of thing.
That is true.
So,
you never know.
No, I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on British riders for the next few years.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's a bad thing if it does happen. It's sort of forced to bring the young Brits on. So yeah.
Is there any sort of? Do you manage to keep your eye on like the young Brits coming through, or do you just solely concentrate on yourself mainly?
Well, I like to just concentrate on myself, but obviously with the GB setup, a lot of the youngsters are involved in that. So I've got a fair idea of how they're going, and they all seem to be working hard and doing the right things. So I think in the future we'll be okay.
Yeah, and obviously with Lewi Kerr at number 1, replacing Ty.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate.
Yeah, you never know. These are strange times. But one thing that obviously is synonymous with yourself now is obviously having Adrian Flux on board. Which is obviously your main sponsor, because obviously everything's plastered in blue.
Yeah,
you see on your bike nowadays. So how long have you been with? Oh yeah, plug them. There you go, good one. How long have you been with Adrian Flux and the guys there?
They started sponsoring me, I think it was halfway through 17. And then being at Kingston obviously helps, being local, and they've been absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have done it without them. The support they give me, and Jerry at Flux, who who's at most Lynn meetings, and yeah, I really, I'd struggle without them. Really would.
Yeah, I thought I'd give them a mention for you because obviously, like I said, they're all over your kit.
Yeah,
Even in the thing behind us, they're
yeah,
all
like
over
that. To be
it.
fair, I mean, they are my main sponsor, but all my sponsors, without them, I just I wouldn't be able to do it. I really wouldn't. So they're all vital, definitely.
Oh yeah, very much so. And I'm sure if you give Louis a message on Facebook, he'd probably find a small spot on the covers or his
Yeah,
Kevlar's to squeeze you on.
I'll
That
squeeze
sort
them
of
on.
thing. Yeah, I know you will. I know you will. But so just a general sort of question now, because obviously we've sort of covered most of the ground on your career. What's your sort of like favorite track apart from sort of like Kingsley and the big tracks on these? Do you have any sort of particular favorite tracks you like to ride at?
Like I said, I do like Glasgow. Um, and Eastbourne's my home track. I do enjoy Eastbourne, but I'll definitely, yeah, I'd probably say Glasgow,
Mm.
definitely.
Yeah, so if they came knocking on the door, you might consider going back there then.
Well, we'll see what happens. It is a long way, but
Mm.
yeah, it's a great club. But I'll quite happily stay at Eastbourne for the rest of my career at the minute.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
So,
That's good to
yeah,
hear. Yeah, we've seen a lot of you then.
that's it.
That's the sort of thing. But it's not like anything though. As long as you're sort of happy where you are, I think that's the main battle nowadays. Obviously most riders do
Is
get
you
moved
ride
around
better,
quite a
don't you?
bit.
So,
Very much so. So, if you had the choice of sort of club to go to on the continent, then is there any sort of thing that sort of would appeal to Louis at all, like in any country?
I think, well, Poland would be great to break Poland. Not too fussed where.
Oh, fair enough.
There's the club I signed for, Krosno, I think it was the furthest Polish
Oh yes,
club you could sign for.
I think
So
it's near
that wasn't
Russia in it,
ideal.
somewhere like that, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's ridiculous. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But it would. I've been out there now, and I know how it works, and
Mm.
it'd be nice to have a real good crack at it.
Yeah, because obviously seeing likes of Tom and Jack Thomas get contracts for this year and next year now, a 2-year deal with Lodge and things like that. Surely got to give yourself sort of like an ambition to sort of like go for it yourself.
Yeah, it's a real tough one, isn't it? Because obviously, sort of 30 years old now, and I think they see the youngsters coming through, and they see it already signed over there before, and it's a difficult country to crack, it really is. So we'll see what the future holds anyway.
Yeah, well, you never know. You never know. But it's just nice just to sort of get your sort of idea of what you like, sort of thing. Because obviously, not a lot of
Yeah,
people know sort of what sort of suits you and things like that, And obviously, the fans see you ride at Kings Lynn, Eastbourne, or wherever, and you fly around there, but they don't know how you do outside of England, sort of thing,
exactly.
that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So when you did your sort of like half a season in Poland, then was it sort of like a real eye opener to yourself and how it was run and everything?
Well, to be fair, I only done the one meeting. I had
Oh,
done
okay.
what I done one in Poland and went to France. The one Polish meeting I done, it was a real eye opener. Because they run meetings completely different. It was I'm trying to think where I was the day before, or somewhere the day before, and flew out. Um, they have the two 2-minute practices before the meeting, and
Okay.
two riders from each team can go out. So I managed to get out there and get a bit of an idea of the track, and but I think the engine I had at the time wasn't strong enough for over there, and yeah, I was pretty nervous, and it didn't help. I should have just gone there, relaxed, and whatever happens, happened. But I absolutely loved it, and then obviously came back, and a couple of weeks later broke my leg, so that's sort of it put dividends to that really. But the France meeting I done, Le Mans would have been good. I got all the way there, flew from Glasgow to there, won my first race, then that got rained off, and then drove back to Paris airport, flew back to Glasgow, and raced the next day. So unbeaten in France anyway.
Well,
That's what
yeah,
I
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. So you go back out there again, but
Yeah,
you never know. But no, again, it's nice to hear because, as I say, look, a lot of people wouldn't know that you've ridden in France and done that one meeting in Poland. But like I say, you must have when you say you were nervous, it must be because you were in front of 10,000, 15,000 fans maybe, rather than sort of like 2,000 or less for
yeah,
in England sort of thing.
yeah. It was just a real. Um, sort of wake up call, really. Like I said,
Mm.
engine wasn't good enough, and you've got all these fans, and no one speaks English. You're doing track walk, and no one's talking to you, and different formats. So you don't really know what heat you're in, and some guys filling your bike up with fuel, and it was just a complete minefield, really, what was going on. But that's why I really wanted to go out there again and give it a good go.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be a door open to you at some point. I'm sure if you can chat someone up, maybe Dan Bewley, Ty, you never know.
Yeah,
Could get in at Wrocław,
yeah,
things like that. So,
yeah.
but you never know. I mean, okay, I understand that the guys, like you said, might look at your age and you're one past experience out there, but maybe they'll get desperate for riders and they'll come out and say, well, okay, we need someone else who's better than our poles, sort of thing. So you never know. You might get a tap on the shoulder, especially with your sort of form in England more than anything. But have you managed to venture out to sort of like Germany or Sweden or any places like that at all?
No, that's one of my plans this year, to do some open meetings in Germany. There's been a few that sort of I spoke to Robert Lambert's mum a few times about getting out there, and she was going to book me in, and I think it was one of them years I got injured, and that was that done. So, yeah, my plan is to get to some meetings in France and Germany, put myself about next year, and there's no pressure on them sort of meetings. You go out there, do what you can do, have some fun, and yeah.
Again, track time, against some top European boys, it's what
Exactly,
you're
yeah.
going to need, isn't it? So, and then again, it will help your season over here. But just going back and looking at the 2020 season, well, the very, very shortened season 2020. You said that you had a good meeting at the British final, and things like that. On a wet night sort of thing. How was your sort of approach to that meeting? Because obviously, it must have been a long time since you rode before that meeting, or was that after the Peter Craven meeting you done? Was that
No, I done the ATPI challenge
Oh
at
yeah, that's
Bellevue,
Mm.
and I only dropped 1 point, and so I was absolutely full of confidence going into the British final. And it rained all night, and it was like, the track was obviously nothing like it was the week before I was there, and setups went out the window, and it was a bit of a disaster, really. I think I had one win. Couldn't make starts and get behind. I think I took my goggles off in a race, and it was just, I was absolutely gutted, really, because I generally thought, the way I was riding, I could have got on the podium. And then a couple of weeks later, done the Peter Craven, and had a great meeting, 10 or 11 points. So it was good to end the season with a meeting like that.
Yeah, and I mean the Peter Craven meeting they had, wasn't it, in the final, like 6 riders in the race or something like that, wasn't it, in the last race? And you think, that's a bit of excitement for right at the end of the season, especially around Bellevue.
Yeah, I think it was. I made the semi, and I think that was 5 riders in the semi.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I was really annoyed about. I made the absolute perfect start, and the ref pulled it back. I was absolutely gutted, because I think I'd have definitely made the final, because I made a ripper and I was into the first turn and away sort of thing. But never mind.
No, again, referees always quick on the old red lights when someone makes a blinder, and that sort of thing. But maybe again, that's something to talk about another day, shall we say? Things like that. Because I don't want to get you into any trouble, things like that. But no, I mean, it's good to see that you had, in the few meetings that you did have, that you managed to get some points, get some decent scores, and things like that. So maybe, because how many times have you now made the British final? You made it quite a few times now, haven't you?
I think it's 3 years in a row, that was.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah.
17, 18. No, that was my 4th in a row.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, experience. I remember watching it the other night. Well, not the other night, the other year, sorry, with you in it and things like that. So I thought, I can't remember how many he's done now, because I know he's done quite a few.
Yeah.
You've got close a few times in the semi-finals and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've always put a lot of work into the semi-final, because it's tough getting to the final. So, had good meetings in the semis, and I've done okay. Like, had the odd good race in the British, but I've never really cracked it, which I was gutted about this year, because I felt like I was going to. But good old British weather.
Well, Manchester weather, shall we say? It
in
wasn't.
October.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's why I still have a bit of a doubt about the old Speedway of Nations being held at
mm,
Bellevue in October. It's going to
yeah, I do.
be wet and cold. I think. I think that's very much
Yeah,
like it was this year in Poland, sort of thing. But
yeah.
you know, I mean, even that sort of meeting, does that sort of the Speedway of Nations, that sort of meeting that you would like to be part of as well? You know, as well as doing sort of like the World Championship and things like that. Then.
Oh yeah, massively. I think on a personal front, I like the old format. You know,
Mm,
the proper World Cup. You know, I was involved in that a couple of times, and um, just being around the boys for the day. You know, watch
mm,
them practice, and we go for dinner, and you know, I just wanted to be in that so much. Um, you know, and obviously at the minute, you know, with um, the nation, sorry, it's you know, it's Woofy and Robert, isn't it? And
mm,
it's pretty tough to
mm,
crack, really. But yeah, it's
mm.
always an ambition.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's good to hear what your ambitions are, what your sort of kind of goals are, really more than anything. You know, because again, you know, you're the sort of person who's fairly quiet. You know, you don't really sort of go on social media and lie all about, you know, and things
Yeah,
like that. You know, which is good. You know, to keep it so that you have your head very much screwed on, shall we say, for Speedway and things like that. But I
yeah,
mean, tonight, Louis, it's been great talking to you, mate. You
yeah.
know,
Thanks for having me on here.
hopefully you've enjoyed it. You
Yeah,
know,
it's been good, mate.
something a bit different, something to talk about, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
and things
right.
like that. But before I just sign off, I'd like to say thank you for everyone who watched all the videos and listened to all the podcasts from last year now and everything. Hopefully, you'll like all these new guests coming up. We've got quite a few lined up in the next few weeks or so. But this is the first one of 2021, and I'm very, very pleased to have Louis on the show. So make sure you like it, like the page, join the group, and subscribe, follow, and everything else you can do to listen or watch this show. So I must say, thank you, Louis, for joining me tonight.
No problem. No worries.
All right, take care.